might want to put security on that guy. And we have Patrick Holbert, who's your feature. He actually, that's Patrick. From True TV, and he has his own story of recovery as well that he tells on the road. And so very happy to have him back doing the show. So that's awesome. Now, if you don't know, I will tell you a little bit about my story of recovery. Did anyone see the PBS special that they aired yesterday? A few of you? Well, go to my website. I'll have it up on my website and Facebook and everything if you want to take a look at that. It tells a little bit about my story. I'm from Easton, Pennsylvania. So, you know, that's where I grew up. And I didn't start drinking until like later, till after college. And it progressed pretty quickly. I got 2 DUIs in 8 months. I am an overachiever. Actually, what I do, I actually do some comedy shows for inpatient recovery, and they just yell out. They're not impressed, ever. They're like, yeah, what else did you do? Yeah? What'd you shoot up? Anything? No? Pussy. All right. Jeez. Didn't know it was a competition. So I got 2 DUIs in 8 months, and my second DUI was really bad. My second DUI, I blew a .25 and the state trooper. I kept thinking I was gonna get off, but he did. So I got these DUIs, and something happened. Once someone told me that someone checked the wrong box, and I ended up doing a year in Northampton County Prison.
Boo.
Boo, prison. Yes. Can you imagine this girl in pink in jail? Right, for a year. I am pretty hardcore. It does give me a little street cred. My only preparation for prison was like, you know, college and summer camp. You know what I mean? Those were the only things that I had to relate to jail for such a long time. I'm like, hey, roomie, you know? It's like, cellmate, learn the language, you know? But yeah, and I didn't hurt anyone with my DUIs, but I had to really toughen up in jail, you know? Got a jail tat while I was there. That's right. I had to try to fit in, try to be tough, right? So you know what the teardrop means, right? White people, do you know what the teardrop means? What, you never watched The Wire? What? No, the teardrop means you killed someone. So I got this, it's a lotus flower. Killed a yoga instructor, that's what I did. I sat on that skinny bitch, you know what I mean? I was like, namaste down. Yeah, jail was weird. I definitely was a nerd in prison, that's for sure. I kept going like, you know what we should do? We should start a newsletter, you guys. Yeah. I think we could petition for better food, right? Who the hell are you? Oh, yeah. And strip searches, they're always interesting. How many's gone through a strip search? Anyone? Anyone want to go through a strip search today? Strip searches are, they're horrifying, to be honest with you. But like, I've always used humor as a coping mechanism, you know what I mean? And I did a year in jail. And when I got out for work release, I got a job at Subway. And I'd go out to my job at Subway, and then I'd come back, and there was a time where they strip searched us every single time we came back from work to make sure we weren't smuggling things in. You know, I don't know what's worse. Smelling like sandwiches, or you can't get that bread smell out, I'm just saying. So I come back from my job at Subway, and like every day they strip search me, never find anything. I thought, I should give them something. money, you know what I mean? Like, they never find anything. I'll give them something, not something to get me in trouble, just something to like confuse them. You know what I mean? It's like, and not weapons or drugs or anything. Just be like, all right, Russo, all right, shake out your tits, all right. Squat and cough, spread your butt cheeks. Russo, why do you have a rubber duck in your ass? That's just weird. You could ask to bring it in. You didn't need to do that. It's like, well, I have a $5 footlong I was saving for lunch, but... I can fit a lot of stuff in there. So yeah, and then after I got out of jail, right, I turned 30 in prison. It was Christmas, New Year's, every holiday, you know, it would be like Groundhog Day, you know, everything, Arbor Day, you know, it's a lot of holidays. So I got out of there, and you would think, right, spending a year in jail for these DUIs, like I had 4 years of state parole to stay clean. You would think the threat of going back to jail would keep you sober. Nah. Not if you're doing it right. Yeah, so I wasn't getting any treatment. I was just supposed to like, stay sober and everything. So I was white knuckling it, and it was about a year or so when I could figure out like when my officer would come and pee test me and everything. And by the way, I got really good at peeing in a cup. I'm just saying, humble brag on that, because you know how hard it is for ladies to pee in that tiny cup? So difficult. I got so good at it. Like, if I'm ever gonna be like run for like Miss America, that's my talent portion. Yes, I'll just be in a sequin gown, And now, this Russo. So anyway, these 4 years of state parole are going by, and well, I got 2 public drunkenness charges. Once again, I don't know why I have to do things twice. I gotta do it right, So I got these 2 public drunkenness. My first one was down at Drinkies in downtown Easton. Oh, some other people possibly too. Yeah, Drinkies. So I was down there and having a good time. I went down there just to have one. I've never just had one in my life, right? So I'm down there at 1, 6, 20, whatever. And I'm in my, at the end of the night, I'm in my happy place sitting on the curb, right? It's my happy place. So I'm there, and I'm like in a blackout state, and I'm coming in and out of the blackout, and I look up, and I'm coming out of my blackout, there's like 5 police officers in a circle looking down at me. And I was like, oh shit, strippers are here! Like, which one of you's Magic Mike? So they actually sent me to the hospital. My BAC was super high, and they sent me to the hospital, and I'm there in the hospital, and by that point, things are wearing off, and I'm talking to the nurse and everything, and they bring a guy in, and this guy is belligerent and yelling and screaming and violent, and they had to restrain him. And I asked the nurse, I was like, what's wrong with that guy? And she said, his BAC is half of yours. I was like, well, he can't hold his alcohol. He's like, learn from the best, sir. Give you some lessons. She's like, you should be dead, your BAC is so high. I was like in the low 3s or something like that, And so that was the first one. Now you would think, parole finds out about that, right? So, because they talk to each other or something. I don't know how they found out, but so they find out. and kind of overlook it. And then I thought, oh, well, all right, let's try this again. Because they don't expect you to fuck up twice so soon. That's where my mind was. So I'm at my job in Bethlehem, or Bethlehem, I guess, and I don't even really know exactly what I did. It was some medical encoding shit. I really don't know. I was drunk half the time there anyway. I'm just a really good bullshitter to get a job while drunk. I don't even know. So I'm there at my job, and boy, 12 o'clock rolls around, and it's my lunch break. Time to go for some lunch. In liquid form. So I went to go have my liquid lunch at the local bar. And, you know, a beer, a shot. I mean, this is the middle of the day, right? And I'm looking super cute. I think I had like a pantsuit on or something, you know, my blazer, you know, looking like a young professional and everything. And I'm in my happy place like an hour later, just sitting there on the curb. This is a nice curb, I like it. My happy place on the curb, you know, in and out of a blackout. Cop picks me up. So I get thrown in jail for the rest of the day. You know, never went back to work till later the next day. And yeah, so I'm in jail and they're letting me dry out. My BAC has to come down to a certain level before they can release me back into the wild. So I'm like, well, this is gonna take a while. So it drops, and maybe it was like, I don't know, maybe 8 o'clock at night or something like that, because this happened during the day, so there's plenty of time, right? So 8 o'clock at night, they gave me everything I had in my pockets back. I was like, oh shit, I still have money? That never happens, right? So I'm like, all right. And I was like, bar's still open. Game on. I can't go back to work, my keys are there anyway, right? So I went to the bar, different bar. I didn't want the guys at the other bar to know I'm an alcoholic. Because their opinion matters for some reason. I was always that way too, with like, I don't know if anyone else has ever done this, but like I was always that way buying my liquor. Also, I had like a schedule. It was very, it looks like I was trying to catch a serial killer. It was like string theory. You know, like, oh no, I went there but I only got wine. So if I go there and I go here. Awful. Yeah. So I'm at the bar and I continue to drink, and then I made some friends. Those friends got me a hotel room. I just stayed there, and then went to my job the next day, and I was like, hey. They were like, hey, the cops are looking for you. I was like, oh no, they found me. We're good, we're fine. Talked it out. You know? And I was like, so what's on the agenda today? She's like, oh no, you're fired. I was like, oh, okay. So I get all my stuff, and I know I have to go to parole to see my parole officer. I got a message, and now I know I'm in trouble, right? So I go home, I shower, try to make myself look as presentable and as innocent as possible. I picked the lightest pink fuzzy cardigan I could. I put on some pearls. I thought soccer mom innocent, you know what I mean? Like, just very, like, oh! Like, I have a disease. So I'm there, and there's all these wanted posters behind me at Allentown State Parole, you know, and they're all like violent offenders, you know, like just robbery and murder and rape and just like all violent offenders, and I'm just there in my cardigan. Hoping, right, that my parole officer will overlook this, and he comes in, he's like, so that's what you're going to jail in? I was like, say what now? It's like, yeah, we gotta take you to jail. Like, you fucked up not once, but twice. Like, you can't do that. Did you read the paperwork? Do you know we're parole? This is what we do, right? And I was like, okay, well, what else you got? They're like, no, you're going back back to jail, and this time you can't finish your time in county. We got to send you upstate to big girl jail. I was like, or, like, I'm sure we could brainstorm, you know what I mean? I don't know if it's ever been done before, but I think we could come up with something really good if we just put our two heads together. He's like, no. And he's like, wait here. And he left, and he came back. He's like, do you have insurance? And I said, I do actually have health insurance. And he was like, okay, here's your or. We take you to jail now, or you get yourself to rehab, and you call me from rehab tomorrow. And I was like, or. What else you got? So those are my options. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll go to rehab. I've never tried rehab before. I've only tried prison. Rehab probably has better food. But I left parole, and man, that was a stressful day. I needed a drink. So I left parole and went to the bar, where I continued to drink. Beers and shots, and I'm scrolling on my phone trying to find a rehab while I'm in the bar. That's what alcoholism is. That's what addiction is. That's crazy. So I'm there, beer and a shot, and I'm scrolling. And I come across this one. I really like the name of it, and that's why I picked it. I was like, oh man, I like this one. Live and Grin. That's what I want to do. I was like, I want to live and grin. Like showing the bartender, I'm like, what do you think? You heard anything about this rehab? Live and grin. Yeah. I was like, all right. I picked Live and Grin, and I was like, around on me, one for the road. I'm going to rehab. So I went to rehab. I drove myself drunk to rehab. And because, I'm a planner and a thinker, and I was always a Girl Scout, I put a 6-pack in my trunk, just in case it didn't work out, So I walked into Live and Grin in Bensalem, and for inpatient, and was there for the 28 days. We've had a few complications, actually, but I invested in myself with the help of my counselor, who got me some scholarship money to stay there, because when I called my parents to co-sign for me, after insurance crapped out, and I was like, can you help? My dad was like, yeah, you're an adult and you got yourself into this. Go fuck yourself. Landline. So I couldn't believe it, right? So now, I'm an only child. I've been to prison. Now I'm in rehab, and I paid it off a couple of years. It took me to pay off Live and Grin inpatient and then outpatient as well. And been to meetings and all that good stuff. And now, so January 16th, 2011. That's my sober date. So yeah, right. Great, it really has. And I gotta say, my favorite thing about being sober is now when I have to pee, I use the bathroom. It's a pretty amazing place, ladies. I always remember, right? Like, I was always that girl in a bunch of, I'll have a group of friends, and just be like, you just want to pee, you have to pee, you can't hold it, there's a line, you're in the mess, you're drunk, and you're like, oh my god, I have to pee! Oh my god, I have to go so bad. Like, I can't make it! You guys, oh my god, you guys, get around me. Yeah, be like Trump, build a wall! Oh, all right, everybody get around me. I have to pee. I'm gonna go right here. You guys, make sure no one can see me. You're in the hotel lobby, Liz. I remember being so wasted drunk with my girlfriend, so we were out dancing. I had some like 5-inch high heels on, and I had a cute dress on, and we're in the car, and they're driving me home, and I'm like, stop car, I gotta pee. So they let me out on the side of Route 22 in Allentown. They're good friends. And I wobbled to the side of the highway in my 5-inch stilettos, right, and my dress, and I pop a squat, I start to pee, and I forgot I had pantyhose on. I thought I was drowning. I was so drunk, I was like, you guys, the waters are rising. It's like a flash flood. It's warm though, I like it. Is this a jacuzzi? I feel bubbles. Cause I farted. Oh, I miss highway jacuzzi. That was a good time. So yeah, and then you know, I started with a gateway drug. And it's funny too, like the way I've been traveling all around, you know, and I was out in the Midwest and I did a show in Iowa. Again, they booed me for my sobriety. I was like, I'm sober, boo! Every single time in Cedar Rapids, I did 3 shows. Every single, boo! Some guy gets up, fuck you, you're a quitter! Some other guy gets up and he goes, yeah, what do you think, you're better than us? I'm like, well, I don't live in Iowa. So yeah. Yeah, I do. I couldn't live in Iowa. I would relapse. People would be like, where's Liz? Drunk and naked in a cornfield. It's Tuesday. But I did start with a gateway drug. And when I asked Kansas, what do you think my gateway drug is? Someone might get it.
Working on it.
Might be a battery. All right. Yeah. Feels good. Relapse is on Art's quest.
Testing 1 2. Testing. Ooh, hello, Liz. Sorry, we're bringing you a mic.
Thank you. Addison, everybody. So I did a show in Kansas, and I asked them what do you think my gateway drug is? Someone yelled out, meth. I don't think they know how drugs work. I was like, you don't start with meth. There's nowhere to go after meth. You know what I mean? There's not... And that's not the progression. It doesn't go like, you know, meth to alcohol. Like, that's not, a gateway drug is what you start with. It's like, okay, yeah. It's not like, oh, I had some awesome meth yesterday. You know what I'm gonna try today? A Bud Light. With a lime. Woo! Dummies. No, I started with donuts. That was my, yeah. My first rehab was for donuts. Food, I don't know if there's any food addicts, but man, it's almost harder than the alcohol, to be honest with you. I went to a rehab for donuts called Fat Camp. Have you ever seen the movie Heavyweights? Yes, that guy is actually based on my camp director, Tony Sparber of Camp New Image. Yep. So I went to this fat. Now I loved it. I did. I was super hot at Fat Camp. I'll be honest. I was like the Heidi Klum of Fat Camp. Like. Seriously, I got so much ass. It was only one guy, but it was a lot of ass. And just like a rehab romance, same thing at Fat Camp, you know? I got my first kiss there, my first kiss at Fat Camp. Woo! Yeah. Got my first boyfriend, my first love was at Fat Camp. Yeah. Oh, me. All right, not impressed? This will impress you. I lost my virginity at fat camp. All right, actually, I sold it for a Snickers. You'll do some crazy stuff for your drugs of choice, you know what I mean? The Snickers is way more satisfying. So. All right, you guys, my name's Liz Russo. Thank you. Thank you for coming to the show. Keep the show rolling. You should be good with this, Mike. All right, you guys ready for your feature acts? Oh, you're gonna love them as much as I love them. From True TV, please welcome Patrick Hallberg. Keep him over, Patrick Hallberg. This is a good first mic. All right, we're gonna keep this show rolling. But before we do, I do want to tell you that because I host this show, you know, you don't see all of my jokes. Some of you know my jokes from you know, seeing me elsewhere. But I do travel all around the country and everything, and in April we're going to do another fundraiser. We have people from Recovery Revolutions here. Woo! Yep. We're going to do a fundraiser, and I'm headlining that one. So you'll get to see the full Monty, as it were. I don't know if that's going to sell more tickets, to be honest with you. Might scare people away, I don't know. But that's in April, and that'll be at Easton Middle School, and it also involves food. So it's a whole tasting and everything. So you get food and comedy and a tricky tray for like $30. So it's for a good cause, obviously. So I'm excited for that, and I'm headlining. So you know, if you guys want to see my whole shtick. And then just to let you guys know also, so. Remember that time when I told you when I got public drunkenness on my day job? Yeah. Remember that story? Well, my arresting officer is here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I won't make him out himself, but and I've had correctional officers, people I went to prison with. I've had my high school teachers and friends that I've known since I was a kid. My boyfriend's family is here tonight. Hopefully he'll still be my boyfriend after this. And you know, and I've been really blessed with all the people that have come, you know, in and out of my life through addiction and recovery and everything else. And yes, my arresting officer. So. On my 5-year sober anniversary, the first time we did this show, he came up to me at the end of the show and he goes, "Remember me?" I said, "I'm a blackout alcoholic. How dare you? You could be anybody. You could arrest me, or like, did I have sex with you? Both? I don't know. You could do, yeah." So he goes, "I arrested you," and it was that time of my public drunkenness, and he said, "You know, it just didn't make sense to me." And he's like, "First of all, he did tell me I'm funny as shit. And I'm in his top 10 arrests." That's some street cred right there. That's some hardcore stuff, right? So, and he goes, it was so weird, you know? You see this young professional lady in the middle of the day, you know, drunk on the curb, you know, and you know, he was asking me, he had to remind me of this conversation too, by the way, but he was asking me, you know, what do you want to do with your life, you know, and everything, and I kept saying how much I loved comedy, and I want to be on TV, and I want to be, you know, do comedy on like Letterman, or, you know, all that kind of stuff, and he goes, "Well, you can do that." He goes, "Listen, you're a pretty girl, get your shit together." And he goes, "You can do it, I want to see you succeed," you know, and yeah, then he asked for free tickets if I did ever make it, but he paid for tonight too, by the way, so that's nice. And so yeah, so it's just pretty amazing after that. And so when he came up to me afterwards, you know, he said, you know, "I saw your picture in the newspaper," and that's pretty great, you know, to recognize me from a good picture. And so he recognized me and he goes, you know, usually when I recognize somebody that I've arrested in the newspaper, it's in the obituary section. So to see somebody who's doing what they love to do, who's giving back and who's, you know, in recovery and staying sober, he goes, you know, I just want to tell you how great you are. And then he said, you know, I want you to know I'm proud of you. Yeah. And I was like, can you call my mom? She's a little slow to come around. Oh, she's a trigger. So I want you guys to know, if you are in recovery in this room tonight and you're struggling and you know, to stay sober, you know, take it one day at a time. And if no one's told you lately, I think it's really important. I want you to know I'm proud of you. So yeah. Enough of this sappy shit. All right. Are you guys ready for your headliner? You're gonna love them from Comedy Central, from Last Comic Standing. Please welcome Dave Landau. Dave Landau! Go to their websites and look us up on Facebook and Twitter and all of that stuff, you know. But like Dave said, you know, you do have to love yourself. I mean, we want you to love us too, though. But and I also, I mean, I do love myself at least 3 times a day. And what? So I have some shirts out there. I only have 2X left. I have a big shipment coming tomorrow, which is not helpful. And Dave has his stuff out there too, and we have some tickets we'll sell for the